Thank you, Brian.
Sure. Brian asked me to talk about our space here. I've got a little bit of a unique perspective because I've served not only as chairman of the trustees of this church, which oversees all of the facilities, but I also followed Brian as chairman of the weekday ministry, which is our daycare here. Served on our building team, building needs study group to figure out exactly what kind of space we need to serve, for instance, all of these beautiful faces on the first few rows here who've spent a wonderful weekend together. And then most recently, currently as co-chair of our capital campaign to raise money for things like buying the building next door, the church next door, which our youth have been putting to good use. And I've seen over the years, particularly with our youth, starting with my time as chair of the trustees, I can recall our youth director at the time asking for space, asking for improvements, things like ping pong tables, paint, renovations, even basketball courts or a pavilion in the backyard. And we just didn't have the vision, the money at the time, and so we sort of let that pass for several years, although we did do some things. And what I learned over that time, and then later as a small group leader of some of these fine youth for several years, is that this space, whether it be the sanctuary, the couple of rooms upstairs that they had for a long time, or the church across the street, is just a safe, grounded space. Is so important for children, especially in today's age. You probably could all agree with me on that. There's so much out there that we don't want our youth involved in, but here they get to make good Christian friends, have good leadership in a space that points them to Christ, and so that they can minister not only to the world, they do their own missions, but also to each other, which I'm sure you guys have had a lot of chance to do that this weekend. But there's so much more that we use our space for. I mean, this very room we're in started out as the sanctuary for St. Matthew's when we first started this church many years ago, and now, we use it for to pack meals for Rise Against Hunger. We use it for Wednesday night live activities. We use it as a gymnasium for our weekday ministry. So many things. We've got Birthday Gift for Christ. Some of you have probably participated in that in this very room, putting bicycles together, packing boxes, and then delivering our, for many years, our Christ Covenant storage space for the food that we delivered to families in need was right there in that closet, which now we've found a better space for it. Just so many things just for this one space here, and we're just if you've been here for any length of time or just drive up and down the road, you see how busy we are, from AA meetings to support groups, weekly Bible studies. There's just so many missions here that are so important to our individuals, to our community, and really to the world. We've got our chicken cooking coming up soon, which if you haven't already bought your ticket, they're only $10. Buy it from anyone except Rusty Healy, because he and I have a competition going. Right. But please, they're $10 is half a chicken. Do that, and we raise probably 10,000 or more every year to build houses for the people of Honduras, and to do so much. There's just, we've got seniors. Our seniors in this church have aerobics, and they do crafts We have small group Bible studies during the week. And not to mention, we have 3 worship services every morning, plus small groups. So this entire campus is really used. Yes, it's utilitarian, but it's also a space that points us to Christ. And one of the things that as I led a small group of youth, which frankly didn't feel like I was very good at it, but the one time I remember that I sort of had their undivided attention is when I talked about peace and how you can get peace in a life that's so full of anxiety. And really the answer is just do what God says. I mean, that's, follow God's commands. And Henry Blackaby said that if you want to accomplish God's will, figure out where he's working and go join him. Well, if you're not already plugged in here, then please, there's so many things you can do here at this church. Find a spot and get plugged in. That's it's just so important to others as well as to your own Christian growth. So before I get into preaching, I'll stay in my lane and hand it back over to Brian.